It is May 30. I'm Raymond, and you're watching RPadTV. Hope you guys are having a great day. We're going to talk about Madam Web today. Is it as bad as people say? Some of our answers and perspectives might surprise you. But first, I want to say hello to our excellent guests. First up, he is a great writer and a great friend, and the only guy I know in real life who could wear silver leather pants. It is Paul Semel. How are you, Paul?
No, I don't have them anymore.
I know.
Yeah. He's wearing them right now.
Isn't the ass part like in the theater in
Yeah, the silver part started to fall off in the middle of the Game Awards at Universal Amphitheater. It was the Spike Awards movie.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. In what was then the Universal Amphitheater, which has since been demolished to make room for, I think, a Harry Potter ride or something.
So the silver lining of your leather pants has come off.
They were silver plastic pants, and the silver part came off, and it was still like the pants were still there. It's not like I was, Prince at the music awards with my butt cheeks hanging out. Although I would have been okay with that, but yeah. So
I think you should have kept them, man. Like assless silver chaps. That
bringing them back.
Bold look. So you're well, and also I hope as well is Mr. Mac Webb, MacLean Marshall. Mac, what's up with you? How are you doing?
I'm good. It's just been busy in Turtle Beach land. We launched a whole bunch of new stuff, and it's been the usual rodeo of tracking reviews and making sure everybody has what they need.
Excellent.
How are you doing, Ray?
I've had a trying day yesterday. I had a
trying day.
Yeah, I have a weird abdominal problem, and you guys, I trust that you've seen the Goonies.
Of course.
Yeah.
So my stomach looks like Sloth's face right now. Like most people have symmetrical stomachs. Mine is not at the moment. I have the right side of my abs looks like it has I don't know, not a volleyball, maybe a little smaller. So I look, it was weird and not comfortable, but getting better.
That's good.
Yeah. Hopefully they figure it out.
Is it painful? Is it like crippling pain, or was it just like, hey, this is weird?
Are you pregnant?
That is my hope. I hope like an alien doesn't come out of my stomach.
Ironically, right now I'm 100% hoping an alien does come out of your stomach. So
this isn't a very good time to be an unwed pregnant person in America.
No, they allow abortions in Nevada. So
there you go.
All right.
It is. I get spiking pain every now and then. It's more. It's hard to sleep because I'm a side sleeper.
And you sleep on that side, and you're like, oh,
yeah,
that's no fun.
Yeah. So, and it hurts when I move. I move a lot too before I settle down. So if I'm moving from my left side and then go to the right side, I'm like, oh, that's still there. Ow. So
yeah, that's no fun. Getting old's rad, by the way. So
yeah. But so we are here to talk about Madam Web, Sony's latest Spiderverse movie, following up on Morbius. How do you follow Morbius? With Madam Web. Yeah. So none of us saw this movie in theaters. It was universally panned. We got 11% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is the lowest for a Sony Spider-Man adjacent movie. I believe Morbius got 15. And like, how do you top that? This is how. So first question, guys, considering the reviews it got during its theatrical release, what was your approach and what were your expectations going into it? And by the way, I want to say I kind of force these guys to watch it so we can do this video, and I kind of feel a perverse pleasure in making them suffer through it.
You're a dick.
Because of that, you're going first, Mac. What was your expectations going into Madam Web?
Strange, because I was not really a big fan. I didn't know much about the character to begin with. I knew she was spider adjacent, right? Like spider related. So I really had like a completely clean slate going into the movie, aside of the fact that I heard everybody thought it was terrible. And I like that though, because it kind of makes you have like a morbid sense of curiosity, like you want to go see how bad the train wreck is, right? So that's why I participated, and it's just I think one big summary statement I think I either read somewhere or heard, and it makes sense, is that it felt like it was almost like the equivalent of a DC movie. Right, it was like it fits more in like it's like the style and like just the way it was done is more of like a DC kind of universe movie, even though it's like a Marvel character, like just the way the DC movies are in terms of maybe not quite as good.
I could see that.
So I think that was one thing, but yeah, it just didn't hit a lot of things. It was really presumptuous. It presumed the viewer knew a lot about Madam Web to begin with.
Right. How about you, Paul? What was your approach going into the movie? And were you into the Madam Web character in the comics? I know you were a big Spider-Man guy.
No. I've always thought Madam Web was a stupid character, and I always hated. I mean, because Spider-Man has one of the great origin stories. You know, he's just this kid. He gets bit by a spider, develops these powers. And then Madam Web comes along and it's like, oh, he's part of a great lineage and this and that. And I like the idea of prophecy in fiction, but like in this case, it was just it was like adding like this mumbo jumbo to it that was really unnecessary. Like, I think sometimes like less is more with these things.
Oh, definitely.
This movie suffered from an editing problem for sure.
Yeah, well, we get into the technical thing. I'm just talking about the whole Madam Web thing. Like, to me, like the creation of Madam Web was like, we need to explain like why Spider-Man is the way he is, and I'm like,
there is a ton. Like, it seemed like more than half the movie was exposition.
Like, it was. Yeah. I have a funny thing. I started watching it like once, and then at some point just kind of like I wasn't hooked. I didn't get like drawn really in, and then I walked away. And then the other day, like the next day, I was like, okay, I'll try and pick it up again. So I actually started the movie again, but I didn't go back and watch it again. I just picked it up like about 40 minutes in. And the funny part about that is if you don't know any better and you just jump into that point, you kind of catch them on the subway train scene. And if you don't know any better, you're like, man, Spider-Man's kind of a dick. What's he doing? Like, I don't understand this movie. Is he the bad guy now? And then like all of a sudden, like it's a completely different movie if you start from like 40 minutes in and just forego all the exposition up front.
So Carlos has a comment. He was surprised by the 57% audience score. I'm guessing he didn't think it would be that high. So
I was surprised that it's like one of the top 10 movies on like Netflix lately. Like that, it's getting
well. That's
watched.
like, I mean, first of all, how many of those people actually finished the movie? And second of all, I think it goes back to what you said. There's sort of a morbid curiosity about like how terrible it is. You know.
Well, that's why I wanted to do this video, because I had no intention of watching this ever after watching Morbius. But then I'm like, I saw the scores. I'm like, people think this is worse than Morbius. I gotta check this out.
Yeah, I didn't finish Morbius, to be honest. Like, that's something I gotta go back and like watch the rest of.
No, you don't.
No, or not.
For completionism, maybe, but yeah, it's
no.
I think Morbius, for me, I was more entertained by this, and I will tell you why. I started enjoying this movie 18 minutes in with the perspective of, wait a minute, a lot of people, many of whom are really talented, are getting paid a lot of money to seriously make a superhero movie, and they suck at it. This is hilarious. So I enjoyed it from the unintentional comedy aspect, because there were some moments in there that we'll get to. Yeah, I mean, it's a bad movie. Well, thank you for your service, Carlos. For those who don't know, Carlos is I think he was Coast Guard or something like that. One of those. No, I think he was like Army or Navy, not Marine or Air Force.
Not Space Force.
I forgot about that. So, Paul,
new Battlefield, dude.
Paul, I want to ask you, what was your biggest problem with Madam Web?
I think it was just meh. Like I didn't like. I actually hated Morbius a lot more. Like, this movie was just kind of like, eh. It was very mediocre. It was very middle of the road. It was very rote. You know, there were a lot of weird little stupid things that I noticed, but like they didn't really like matter. And like, you know, like none of the characters like were particularly interesting, and nobody was particularly terrible, but nobody was particularly good. And like, you know, and one of the funny things is like after the way she talked about it in the interviews, I was convinced that like the whole time Dakota Johnson was going to be like in this movie, like, and it was going to be really obvious that she was hating every minute of it.
No, she did fine.
But she was fine. Yeah, fine.
For those who don't know what Paul is talking about, in interviews and after the movie was released, she was saying that she was a poor choice for a superhero movie. So
yeah,
that's not how you want to promote a movie.
Right. Like, yeah, and the thing is, like,
I've
seen her in things where she wasn't very good, and I've seen her in things where she's very likable, and she was fine. And I kind of expected the latter. Like, I kind of thought she was going to be like she was in the 50 Shades movies, where like I never got the sense she wanted to be there, like, you know, doing those things. And
well, just her demeanor, I don't get the sense she wants to be anywhere. So
there is a certain amount of that, yeah. But like it's like there's a movie she was in called How to Be Single. It's like a romantic comedy kind of thing with Rebel Wilson was in it. She was actually really likable in that movie. She was, and like I got the sense that like she was enjoying herself being in that movie. Whereas like my expectation going into this was that she was just going to be like, why am I here? What the hell am I doing? This is the worst. And she wasn't. She was just kind of like, okay, it's a job. I'm doing it. Blah, blah, blah.
She's obviously very attractive, and I think she's talented at doing that like deadpan sardonic thing. The joke about her is that she gets offered the roles that Aubrey Plaza turns down. So I think she's good in that vein. So
sure, that's funny.
I do think she's talented, but for this role, I think she was miscast. But how about for you, Mac? What was your single biggest problem with Madam Web?
So interestingly enough,
and you're crackling, by the way.
Oh crap! Okay, hold on. Interesting. Is it still crackling? Are we still crackling?
Yep.
All right. How about now? Are we still crackling?
You're good.
All right. That's way better. Okay. So my angle on the biggest thing that kind of bugged me has nothing to do with Dakota, John. I thought on that front, I thought we got as good of a performance out of Dakota Johnson as that character as we were going to get. Right. I think she did fine, but like you kind of go into it with that expectation. I think the biggest thing for me, and I'll start with one character in particular, but I think it's the whole of it, and it's the main bad guy, Tahir Rahim. Like I got, you know, the guy that Ezekiel Sims, right? Like I didn't get anything from him as a really scary or like there was no real big bad villainous presence to me. He didn't pull it off, in my opinion. And again, I think that's maybe just another batch of bad casting. And then I think when you look at a movie like this, where you say, okay, you kind of have to know what you're going into with Dakota Johnson. And I like other things that she's done. And this, like she even said, probably wasn't the best choice, but like, so you look to the rest of the cast to like carry some of the rest of the movie, and there was nobody there to do that.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and that was the big, like, it's just like, again, Paul was like spot on, just kind of, it was just meh. It was just kind of like nobody delivered a performance that made me want to kind of see what was going to happen with them in maybe the next scene or however long when they show up next in the movie. It was just kind of like this, like uneventful train ride, you know?
Right. Totally get you. So from my perspective, I kind of agree with Paul that I never liked Madam Web in the comics. She was usually portrayed as an older lady that just prophesied.
That's another thing too. Yeah.
But I did like the Ezekiel character, who is very different in the movie. In the comics, he actually helped Spider-Man prepare for fighting other animal totem heroes and villains. So, but it turns out those people were actually targeting Ezekiel and he was just using Spider-Man as bait. But ultimately,
that's who that was supposed to be.
Yes.
Oh.
But in the end, he redeems himself, and when it looks like Spider-Man was going to get killed by the giant spider, he saves him. But I do like that, and in this character, I totally agree with Mac. He was just like, yeah, he's there, he's bad, he's trying to be bad, I guess.
Yeah,
I never knew what the hell he was doing. It was just like he's this guy. I was like, okay, so he's a bad guy. He steals the spider, and then the next thing you know, he's dressing like Spider-Man, but he's trying to like kill. He's having this dream that these women
he doesn't have webs.
Doesn't have webs.
Right, he doesn't have webs.
Doesn't have shoes.
Yeah, and I was always like, okay, but who are you? Like, why should we care? Like, am I supposed to be rooting for these women that they want to kill you? Or am I supposed to be like hating you? Because I never got a sense of who that guy was supposed to be. And then all of a sudden it's like, all right, I guess if he's kind of trying to kill teenagers, I'm not supposed to be rooting for him.
Right. One of our friends, Darren Gladstone, he made a comment like, I was actually rooting for Ezekiel after a while.
Yeah, at some point you just go, let's just end this movie. Maybe he wins, right?
So my biggest problem, I actually didn't have major problems with the performances or the direction, but I thought the writing was horrible. Yeah. And everyone else did the best with what they did with crappy material. The two of the writers in this are partners, Matt Sazama and Burke Sharpless. And here's a look at some of their other movies from the people that brought you The Last Witch Hunter. And so,
don't forget Gods of Egypt and Morbius.
Yeah. So, I mean,
how do these guys keep getting work?
I have theories.
Also, how did Morbius get 71%?
We did run out of content somewhere kind of towards the end of COVID. So like anything kind of went at that point.
I mean,
yeah, but you know, Dracula Untold, Last Witch Hunter, and Gods of Egypt were long before that.
Yeah.
I am impressed by these two that they keep getting hired for big projects like
this. Gives me hope.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm sure they're good at something. They're not good at this, or I mean, maybe they're nice and on time and cheap. I don't know. Or
well, also remember that in Hollywood, like no one person or team writes a movie. Like it always gets rewritten and ghost written and you know whatnot. So,
but I can see this movie being written by the same people that wrote Morbius. Behold, that is exactly.
It's not a surprise.
Yeah. So I think to me the writing was by far the weakest aspect of the movie, and
lots of lazy writing too. Like lots of just like, but we'll figure this out. Let's just
Right. And then, lots of exposition, lots of like, you guys wait here. I'm going to travel to Peru in 30 seconds. So I'm like, okay, I guess she's doing that now.
That is one of my, when we get to like one of my bigger ones, that's just the whole Dora the Explorer rip off that happens right there. Blew my mind.
I think one of the other women was in the Dora the Explorer movie.
Sure.
I think the woman who played Anya, Isabel, I think she was when she was a kid, she played, she was in like the live action Dora movie.
I remember her from a Transformers movie. And I think the producer, the production company, D. Bonaventura is the same guy that does the Transformers stuff. So I'm like, oh, this is your fault. So Carlos says or asked, I heard that Ezekiel was only choke slamming the women in fight scenes. Is that true? He did a lot of choke slamming, but
in
the flashbacks or whatever, her VCR powers, I think he breaks necks and impales as well. So yeah, that's probably the most, he's interesting when he's not speaking. So there's that for him. Let's go to more things we didn't like. Mac, you seemed like you were on the verge with some good complaints.
Oh, again, the whole, like I said, the door, the jumping to like, I gotta go. And then all of a sudden, like, she takes, like, it's just hilarious. She's on a bus and then she's just walking in the jungle and she's got a backpack and no actual survival gear. Like, it was just so, and then she just happens to run upon a guy who's like very casually dressed to be that deep in the jungle on his own. Like,
It was just like none of that made any sense. And then there was another funny part where I don't understand. She was like trying to hide a car, and she went to like remove the license plate from it, and there's just like, she just like, it's almost like, hey, cut to the street, and there is just a handy piece of metal that looks fashionably like a crowbar where I could just use it to pry the license plate off. Which, by the way, license plates don't come off that easy. And like, what's the difference between like having her just use a screwdriver and unscrew it like a normal human being and take it off? Like,
and didn't she just like drop it right there?
Yeah, it was just like the funniest stuff, and I was like, what is happening?
And it's also like a cab, and a cab has other like forms of ID, including a number across the top. Right? Like,
yeah, it was taxi medallion.
So. I love that
the medallion.
I absolutely, speaking of which, I love that she drove the taxi back to the scene of the crime and parked out front to do some exploring, and like that nobody, not a soul was inside after that. Like it was like, man, she's never been a criminal before. Like it's hilarious. There was just so many disconnects like that.
I really dislike how they portrayed her powers. So for those of you that don't know, she has precognitive powers, so she can see some parts of possible futures, and they call it the web. There was one moment where one of the good spider people she heard in her head, she heard "use the web." I'm like, use the web, Luke. Like it was so stupid. Like the way
and she had her Uncle Ben moment too, right? Like there's a lot of just like straight rip-off scenes, like to just explain her powers away and her origin story.
And the disease, one thing I did like, the disease that she was supposed to have. So spoiler territory now. Her mom, who was 8 months pregnant, goes to the Amazon because they found out that her daughter would have some neurodegenerative disease, which is actually what the comics Madam Web has and why she is blind and in a wheelchair. So they worked that in. They also... Carlos says, did they tell her to surf the web to find a good timeline? That might have been better. Paul, let's get to more of your complaints. I want to get more than this general feeling of meh you had, because I honestly thought you'd hate this more.
Yeah, I thought so too, but like it kind of just, because one of the things for me is like it doesn't count. It doesn't matter. It's not part of the MCU, and I can kind of forget about it. So when something terrible or stupid happened, which was like every 5 or 10 minutes, it didn't really bother me that much. And weirdly, the things that bothered me the most were things that don't matter at all. Like, I'm really bothered by the fact that they left the fire burning in the forest.
Oh yeah.
You start a fire in the forest, and then they're like, "We're gonna go to the
more here," you know?
Yeah, yeah. Because then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go to like the diner," and they just leave the fire.
Well, they're teenagers. They don't.
I know they're teenagers, but okay, but still, somebody should have been like, hey, like, especially the Sydney Sweeney character, who seems like the most responsible of the three. Like, she should have been like, hey, wait, we need to put the fire out, or like kick some dirt on her or something.
I loved how they like, let's make Sydney Sweeney ugly by putting glasses on her.
Yeah, we'll make her the ugly, responsible one, and we're going to dress her up like a Catholic schoolgirl and let them dance on tables in a restaurant.
And for people who are curious, you get to see Sydney Sweeney with her clothes on for an entire movie. If you're a Euphoria fan, this will be a unique experience for you. Let's talk about that cast. It's 4 really attractive people and racially diverse. It seems like a CW cast almost, but they've all done pretty notable things. And I don't know. I thought the cast was good, but they were just given garbage to work with. Do you agree with that, Paul?
I do. Like I was thinking, like I said, the woman who played Anya, they didn't seem to have anything for her to do, really. Right. Same with like Sydney Sweeney, they didn't really have. And I like Sydney Sweeney in other things that, you know, like,
we know why you like her.
Yeah, she's funny. She's very likable and other things. And again, she didn't really have a whole lot to do. Neither did the other Celeste J. Connor, who played Maddie.
Yeah.
She was really good in the movie Freaky. I only saw the first of the 2 new Ghostbusters movies, and she was really good in that. And in this,
that's what she was in. Okay.
Like, and again, in this, she didn't really have anything much to do. One thing that I thought was really weird, there's a scene in the very beginning. We were talking more about, Dakota being kind of whatever in this movie. There's a scene like early in the movie where like a little kid gives her like a drawing because like and she's kind of like a dick to him,
dismissive about it.
Yeah. And I was like it. Thankfully they didn't stick with that through the whole movie. But when I was watching that part, I'm like, why are they making her a little bitch? Why are they making her like I understand there's a difference between being antisocial and being a jerk. And it was like,
so what they were trying to do, and what they tried to do and failed at doing, was they tried to portray her as being like antisocial, angry woman who felt abandoned by her mother. And then these 3 young girls come into her life and she feels
I got that. But like, there's a big difference between like that and like being a huge dick to a little kid.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's like if in the middle of this she'd kicked a puppy or something. Like you'd be like,
it's a choice to respond that way. Like, right? Like it's like she could have just been like, oh, hey, thanks, and like thrown in the garbage around the corner kind of thing.
Right.
Like she was just like in the kid's face, like, I don't like fucking children.
Yeah, because because they also made such a big deal. Like they didn't even need that scene. Like they didn't need that scene
editing
whatsoever.
I was talking about. There was just so much extra time spent, and I mean, honestly, the amount of shots of Dakota Johnson just like making a face, like making a thinking face, or making like eyes off to the side, like there was so much extra of that like you could have shaved off a handful of minutes out of the movie just cutting those down.
Yeah, totally agreed. But yeah, again, Paul, I think they were doing and failed to do is with the kid in the drawing, with her discomfort at the baby shower, is that they're trying to say she doesn't like young people.
She doesn't get along.
And it didn't work.
And then she was a cat person at home, right?
Yes. Yeah. She's a loner, Dottie, a rebel. Thank you, Mac. I'm so happy you got that. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to fault the cast because I think they're talented, and Dakota's already a star. Sydney's a star. The other 2, I think, can have great careers, and I hope people don't hold this movie against them.
Was there something in there, like I think another bit that would have helped maybe a little bit, and I hate to ask for more exposition, was like there was no explanation about the relationship between her and the 3. There was no explanation of the 3 Spider Girls.
They're part of the web. That's what I got out of it.
But like there was a whole disconnect there about like, why are they connected? And I was hoping for, even if it was like an Easter egg after the credits, like some additional 30 seconds or a minute of just like, hey, here's why these 3 girls met. They tried to do it with a couple scenes throughout the movie, and it just didn't work. It wasn't enough.
I agree. Yeah. No, you're totally spot on that. And again, I think that's a function of the bad writing.
Yeah, and like again, it's hard to have her again, like going back to like the whole age thing, right? It's hard to have Dakota Johnson as like the adult in the room talking to Sydney Sweeney and Celeste O'Connor. Like they're all the same age, basically, at the very least, in terms of the way they look, give or take a couple years. But it's hard to kind of have her as this authority figure over these girls when they look like they should all just be at the same like high school party.
Yeah, I think Dakota's like what, in her late 30s?
They are, and they're all older, but like good for them. They look very young, and like it just there was a disconnect there in terms of like who's supposed to be the older age wise here.
Right. But that's also a function of Hollywood having like 25-year-olds play high school students. So
yeah, stay by the bell. Like,
because the reality is they should have had, somebody older like play that role, and they would 100%. Never have done that. They would never build the superhero movie around, a woman in her 50s or 60s or 70s, as the case may be. Especially
Right.
if they're thinking like we're gonna have this be a franchise.
Sure.
Right.
Well, not
Yeah, more on that later.
maybe not now.
I do want to get into some positives, some bright spots and silver linings, but before we get to that, I want to remind you guys out there that this is the third and last code I'm giving away for Lamasoft, the Jeff Minter story. Here's a little bit about that. Hey guys, it's Raymond here with another RPadTV giveaway. For the next 3 episodes, I'm going to be giving out Steam codes for Lamasoft, the Jeff Minter story. This is a super cool project from the folks at Digital Eclipse that's part documentary and part video game compilation. As you've probably guessed, it's about legendary video game creator Jeff Minter. You might know Jeff from... Hey, I sound like Troy McClure now. You might know Jeff from such games as Centipede, Grid Runner, Attack of the Mutant Camels, Tempest, and so much more. You'll get to play dozens of his games. I believe there's more than 40 games on this compilation. And you'll get to hear interviews with Jeff and a few famous video game journalists, including the very cool, very handsome Harold Goldberg. I'm super excited to be sharing this game with you guys. It's such a cool project. Jeff is an absolute legend that has done so much for the video game business. A few of my friends actually worked on this project, and I'm excited to share their work with you as well. And some of these games are just awesome, and I'm happy. If you're new to them, I'm happy you'll get to play them for the first time. If there's something you grew up with, I'm happy that you'll get to play them again. For a chance to win Lamasoft, the Jeff Minter story, all you have to do is leave a comment on my next 3 episodes. I'm going to be alternating between Facebook and YouTube, so leave a comment on the platform of your choice, and I will pick the winners at random. Good luck to everyone, and hope to see you soon. Bye. I totally forgot to flash the picture of the beautiful cast, so let's do that. Look at this. On the next CW, the beautiful spider people. But yes, that is the amazingly good-looking cast that is all tied together by a mystical web.
The web.
The web.
It looks like a young girl and her friends hanging out with her older sister.
Yeah, it's almost like this is the older lady that buys us booze.
Yeah,
let's hang out with her
just outside of liquor stores where the shot is from.
So, don't get me wrong. This movie is bad, really bad, but there were a few things that I found to make it enjoyable. Adam Scott, I think he's really talented.
That's exactly what I was going to say too.
Mike Epps. A lot of you know him as Black Doug from The Hangover. He was in he was one of the EMTs that worked with Ben Parker and Cassandra Webb. The soundtrack I thought was great. You had Yeah Yeah Yeahs, Britney, Four Non Blondes, Tiffany, Cranberries, and I think the credit song is by Billie Eilish, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was good music for sure.
So there you go. That's about it. Oh, CPR. It's very important. Everyone should learn. So I'm glad that the EMT taught some young girls CPR. That could come in handy. Was there anything, Paul, that you say that you genuinely liked about Madam Web?
Well, the first thing is that it doesn't count, and I can pretend it never happened. The other thing is that its box office failure will hopefully hasten what should have happened years ago, which is that Sony says, okay, fine, Marvel, you handle Spider-Man. We're done. We clearly can't. It's all you.
I don't know that Sony cares about it quality-wise, because it's
no, but they care about the box office.
Yeah.
And if you look at the fact that Spider-Man and Spider-Man related movies haven't really made any money since the first Amazing Spider-Man, with the exception of the 3 that Marvel made and the other movies.
Is not correct. Morbius doubled the budget.
It did?
It did.
Really?
So
Jared did it have a budget of $20?
No, it was. I think it was estimated 80 to 100, and these movies don't perform great domestically, but internationally, people are like, oh, Spider-Man thing. Let's see this.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
So it
that's
appears.
disappointing.
I don't think they made money on Madam Web, but on the others, I'm pretty sure Venom, at least the first one, and Morbius.
Oh, yeah,
made
you're
money.
right. The first Venom probably made money.
So Sony will hang on to this license until.
Well, no, I don't expect them to ever give up the license because they can make tons of money on just everything with it. But like, there's a difference. Like, I keep hoping that they're gonna go, okay, we're keeping the license, but we're putting you in control of it, because that's how they got the Spider-Man movies, made. And
Right.
and the deal was kind of, as I understand it, the deal was, okay, look, you can make the Spider-Man movies, but we want some of the Marvel characters in it. And that's why, like, the first one has, like, Iron Man, and like the third one had Doctor Strange, and
Right.
and I think somebody else was in the second one, but I don't remember. Oh, Samuel L. Jackson,
Right.
So I keep hoping that that's what they're going to do, and that they're not going to like screw it up.
Right. Oh, I thought of another positive. They actually did show the three young girls play different Spider characters from the comic books. Sydney Sweeney plays a take on Julia Carpenter. They changed her last name for some reason in the movie. So she is the second Spider-Woman.
Julia Cornwall.
Yeah. Why? Don't know. Maddie is also a Spider-Woman. Anya, I think she was Aranya first, then became Spider
Yeah, that's what it
Girl. So she wasn't Spider-Woman, she was Spider-Girl.
And are they all different, like from different universes? Like, how is that supposed to, like, because they're all in the same world, but how do they become different spider people?
So in the comics, some are from different worlds. Anya's character is. Julia was the second Spider-Woman after the first. The original one at different times has been disappeared and dead at various points.
Got it.
And Julia actually becomes the second Madam Web. Not that anyone cares.
Not that we'll see a sequel.
Yeah. How about you, Mac? Was there anything that you generally thought was fun or entertaining about Madam Web?
Again, I like, you said it early on. I like Adam Scott. I think most of the stuff that he does is, again, he's an entertaining person to watch. He wasn't threaded throughout this movie enough, or to be in it, and probably rightfully so, not a character that was worth a whole lot more screen time in the grand story of things. But it's always fun to see him in a thing. And I think that was one thing for me. I liked when the credits happened at the end. That was cool. Just because, it was over. And then I think another thing too, and I don't know if this is just like, I'm happy that we got the chance to see an attempt at some range for some of the actors, right? To not do that, like, you kind of half expect all, like, Sydney Sweeney to just, like, did she go far beyond what she did in what was the other show you just said? Euphoria, right? Or is it the same characters? Dakota Johnson kind of the same as you've seen her in every other movie, or is it more of the same? I feel like we got to see a little bit of range from each of them, not a whole lot, but like, and again, I think that was mostly due to the script and the writing and all that stuff. But it was nice. Yeah. I don't want to say out of their comfort zone, but like just in a different kind of, role, if you will.
No, I agree. I mean, that's the longest I've seen Sydney Sweeney with her clothes on. So I'm like, hey, she can keep a shirt on.
And she do a movie and stay clothed, right? Like, and be interesting still. I hope so, right? Yeah. But so I think there was a layer of that was kind of, the very least, just going back to, like, it wasn't super huge, but it was certainly nice, nice to see a little bit of range.
They did have a take on the power and responsibility. The spider mentor, Santiago, he kind of reversed it.
So the nicely dressed dude who lives in the jungle.
Yes. Yeah. Really great clothing from when he's not a dirty tree person. So.
Right.
So everyone knows the famous Spider-Man saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Santiago reversed it, and he said, when you take on the responsibility, great power will come. So I thought that was a fun little twist for longtime Spider fans.
And again, like that same thing, like that's cool. But the guy who played Santiago, again, just seemed like miscast. Like they could have had, I don't know, like a Ben Kingsley level kind of older person.
Ooh.
Yeah, like somebody in that category to be that
right.
elderly mentor, like, but they just didn't have anybody big enough to just have like a wow moment in the movie.
I mean, yeah, I totally get what you're saying. He lacked the gravitas to bring power to that role. Yeah, that I think that would have helped. Not enough, but it would have helped.
I mean,
it would have helped that character. Yeah. So next I want to talk about random things, not necessarily good or bad, and get your guys' thoughts on them. This is the first movie that I can recall that had 3 notable Nepo babies. And if you can think of any, and if anyone watching out there, if you can think of any with this many Nepo babies, please let me know.
Well, Dakota Johnson is one. Who are the others?
Dakota Johnson. We have Emma Roberts, played the mom.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And Zosie Mamet.
Zosie Mamet. Yeah. So those are 3 powerful Nepo babies in one movie.
Wait, has Michael Douglas never done a movie with Gwyneth Paltrow?
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm. Not
Gwyneth
that I can
Paltrow,
think of.
Michael Douglas.
That's powerful. Yeah.
That would be one.
Yeah.
Get somebody else in there.
It also made me feel old that Emma Roberts is playing moms now. Like, I still think of her as a kid, but
yeah.
Wait, like she's getting mom roles now? What the hell? Were there any random things that you observed? Mac, you mentioned seeing some like background things that just seem to be there for.
Like I said, I just love the very lazily written, cleverly placed objects in the movie. Like there seemed to be a couple of those.
Yeah. That needs to happen in real life. Like, hey, there's a convenient crowbar right when I need it.
Yeah. I think that was the one that like just stood out to me the most. Is just like a what? All right, whatever. But like, I didn't think of anything that was like so random. It just like again of the whole. I will say the whole Dora the Explorer adventure scene that where she's just like immediately transported to the jungle. That was another one that just blew my mind.
Apparently, Emma Roberts is a mom in real life. I had no idea. I still think of her as like being like 20, even though she's been acting for like 20 years already. For those of you who don't know, she is the daughter of Eric Roberts, and her aunt is some redheaded woman, some redheaded pretty woman.
Oh,
that was terrible. So the Spider Girls, when they have their powers, this is all in precog visions. They don't have their powers in present time. So they tried very hard to set up a sequel. Do you think that's gonna happen, or is this so bad that the franchise is done? Mac?
Sorry if you hear my dog yelling in the background.
Love dog.
But I don't know. Like, have you seen a worse movie have a sequel?
Ooh.
Have you seen the Transformers?
Yeah, but though, I mean,
G.I. Joe.
That's true. I still like
wow.
Good
call.
Toxic Avenger. I mean, like, there's like thousands of bad movies that get sequels. It's not about the quality of the movie. It's about the box office. That's
I don't know. Do you still think there's enough room for them to try and take another swing at this and again, like you said, like try and do something that's going to hit more box office gold, or is it going to be like, man, we tried and this just didn't resonate with people, like let's walk away? Like I don't know. I think I go back to like I would love to see the scenario where Sony makes that gut decision and goes, you know what, we'll make more money if Marvel does this, and we just ride shotgun.
The only way I could see it happening is if one or more of the younger girls just becomes even bigger, and I'm going to assume they're all under contract to do a sequel.
Sure,
they will have to take advantage of it, despite how crappy this one is.
Yeah.
So that's the only way I could see it.
Well, that's what they're doing with the Incredible Hulk. I mean, the Incredible Hulk was, the Marvel movie that like is sort of regarded as one of the worst. And
the Eric Bana one.
No,
what's
Edward Norton one.
Edward Norton. Yes.
And they're bringing back Liv Tyler. They're bringing back one of the I can't remember the other guys. Tim Scott Nelson's going to be back. They've already brought back, the Abomination. I think that's the thing. I don't think they're going to do, Madam Web 2 Electric Boogaloo, but I could see them.
That exactly.
I could see them doing something with these characters. Like what I could see them doing is like if they do a Spider-Man, they might have them turn up in a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah,
like that. But that's like it. And even then, I can't imagine Dakota Johnson would be under contract, but like, are they gonna want her? Like,
and she's not gonna want to come back. She did very clear.
Not for her, but for the 3 younger girls. I think if any of them blow up, I think they would want to take advantage of it.
Well, yeah, there's also been a lot of conversation apparently about possibly having Sydney Sweeney play Black Cat in a Marvel Spider-Man movie.
That would be hot.
I was just
that could work, and that could be, maybe that would be their how she fulfills her contract or something. But
I like it. So for the Hulk movie, which one was first, Banna or Norton?
Banna.
Norton.
Wait, was it?
Yeah, because Banna was in the Ang Lee one.
Yes, that is correct. So the Norton one was rushed because they had to get another Hulk movie out or they would lose the license.
Right.
So I think that Universal, is that who has
Yes, that's Universal, who still have the license,
right?
Which is why there hasn't been a Hulk movie with Mark Ruffalo.
Right. I hate these stupid licensing things. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we've had 2 Venom movies, Morbius and Madam Web, and next.
Do we not like the Venom movies? Is that a thing that
I don't? I didn't like the first one. I didn't see the second one.
The second one was horrible. The first one was by far the best out of these, which isn't saying much, but I didn't think it was good.
I liking it.
So you did like did you watch the second one?
I don't remember, which isn't a good sign. But I like Tom Hardy, and I remember liking like just how kind of fucked up and weird his character got, like in the first Venom movie, dealing with like what was going on in his body. But like beyond that, like the movie's memorable, but like it's not. Again, it was nowhere near as big and memorable as any of the other kind of bigger budget Marvel flicks.
Right, and I think all of these, in a way, going back to what you said way earlier, is that these feel very DC-ish in terms of quality and execution.
Yeah.
Now, given what we've had so far in this, what do you expect from Kraven, which is the next of these Sony Spider adjacent movies? Paul, anything?
I don't expect much. Kraven is one of these characters that works as a foil for Spider-Man.
Right.
It doesn't work like on his own. It's like it would be like making a Shocker movie. You know what I mean?
I saw one of those on Pornhub.
I could see like I don't think it would work, but I could see the rationale behind like a Green Goblin movie. Do you know what I mean? Like there's certain, or like a Joker movie, like, although I had no
we have those
movie.
Paul.
Right. But what I'm saying is like there's some super villains that make sense. And Kraven, as interesting as he is with Spider-Man, it is not that interesting. He's not interesting enough to like want his own movie.
Yeah. I never found the character all that interesting. I always thought his costume was stupid. I don't know. How about you, Mac? Do you have any expectations for the Kraven movie?
I'm just going to leave you with this note. I'm literally sitting here right now reading the Marvel wiki about who Kraven is because I have no fucking idea. So honest answer, no idea about the character, no expectations about the Kraven movie. I hope it's cool. That's my 2-second review.
Paul, do you remember if it's still, is it Aaron Taylor? What's his face? Is Kraven?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the guy who played Quicksilver in the Avengers. Which one was it?
Which one? The one where he gets killed, or the cool?
Yes.
Yeah, the one where he got killed.
Second.
Yeah, he's not the one in the X-Men movie.
He got shot, by the way. I'm thinking he's faster than bullets, but that was a dumb
right.
He played.
Well,
he
he
played
is faster
Apocalypse.
than a bullet, but if he doesn't know the bullet's coming,
He did play Apocalypse in a post-credit scene in one of the in Days of Future Past. We mentioned that last time.
Did he?
Yeah, he's in the post-credit scene.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
because
so
he
that,
wasn't Apocalypse in that.
No, that was
the
what's
movie. That was
Poe Dameron.
Yeah, and now there's all these rumors that it's going to be The Rock in the next one.
What is
I
what?
gotta be honest, I'd watch that though because The Rock is an entertaining.
There's a lot of rumors that The Rock is going to play Apocalypse in a Marvel X-Men.
Oh,
but that could just be wishful thinking. And then someone, of course, did mock-up art of it. That
I mean, he's blue, and you just have to paint, or he's gray and with blue lips. You can make The Rock look like age doesn't matter there.
Yeah.
Zach Morris has a great question. Is Vulture going to show up at the end of the movie for no reason? That was the post-credit scene in Morbius. I don't know if any of you got to that point.
I never made it that far.
Was there a post-credit scene in this? I like went look.
I waited
for it.
Yeah, I fast forwarded and I was like, hello, no, okay, never mind.
Hello, no.
It's just a 4-second clip of a bunch of execs just laughing at us for getting that far.
We made you watch this, you idiot. But no, Zach Morris, there is no Vulture post-credit scene on this.
This was also set, like, let's bear in mind we haven't discussed this. This was set 20 years ago.
You're right.
That's
right.
And it's also not set in the same universe as the Marvel stuff. So I don't know why Vulture. When did Vulture showed up?
He gets transported into this universe, and he thinks it's Spider-Man's fault. So that's why he's like, well, why don't we team up, Morbius, and kick Spider-Man's ass? So that was the rationale.
Oh, really?
Spider-Man! Damn you!
I keep thinking they're going to do something where they explain how Venom turned up at the end of the Marvel's the third Spider-Man movie, but they never did.
Wasn't that multiverse madness stuff?
Yeah, but the whole idea, if you remember, the whole reason that the Tobey Maguire and Willem Dafoe showed up is because they knew who Spider-Man was. But in the Venom movies, there is no Spider-Man. So how did he know who Spider-Man was? So he wouldn't have gotten transported.
But at the end of that movie, the portals were getting like crazy unstable and all. I don't know. Maybe he snuck in at that time.
Maybe.
Darn. Maybe at the end of Craven. He really wants a Michael Keaton post-credit scene. Well, Michael Keaton is a legend. I will give him that. Venom 3, The Last Dance, is going to start production soon.
Is that real?
Sure. I trust him. I mean, Tom Hardy is a big enough star, and I believe the first one did pretty well.
Was it really called Venom 3, The Last Dance?
Oh, I hope not. Is that, Carlos, is that correct? I really hope.
Please say you're kidding.
He will not. He's going to leave us. He will keep us hanging on like that old song that I can't remember.
I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
This is another thing that there's two things that I didn't get to mention that because they kind of bugged me. So you remember how Ezekiel sleeps with the NSA agent and then like basically gets her to give away her passcode?
Yes. So apparently one password, you have access to the entire NSA, which...
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like, why would she do it? Like, why would she be like, oh, okay, you've had sex with me?
Well, she was dying from his venom.
I know, but like, wouldn't a real NSA agent just be like, all right?
Well, you would think so.
Here we are. I'm dying. I'm not going to give it up now.
Yeah, that was another one of those logic problems. And then this was weird. In Dakota Johnson's home, she has a phone. And it's a corded phone. Like, the phone, the handle, like, it's not a cordless phone. It's a corded phone.
With a windy cable.
Yeah, with a windy cable. And an antenna.
And an antenna. There's an antenna on the corded phone.
And
Interesting.
it's like the prop person had never seen a home phone before and just
that's entire.
They're like, something's wrong with it. It's missing the antenna. We got to have some like. Put one on it.
But to me, like in a weird way, that sort of just says everything you need to know about this movie. If somebody could have pointed that out and they just kind of were like, yeah, whatever.
If everyone in the props department was young-ish, I can see that being an issue. Like one of my credit cards, the back of it is designed like a cassette tape. And I had to explain what this was to a young friend of mine. She's like, what the hell is that supposed to be? Like, it's a cassette.
I'll tell you what I think would have helped this movie is the appropriately created popcorn bucket.
Haha. Design it, Mac. What would have you put on the Madam Web popcorn bucket?
No, it's off limits. That's
okay. I got it.
That's a handmade sketch that's in a notebook somewhere that I can't talk about.
So Zach Morris says, I saw the writers say that Venom just knew who Spider-Man was from. Oh, he used the web. Maybe that's
he used the Mr. Web.
That's an explanation.
Okay.
It's not a good explanation. Zach didn't write it. So that is how, Paul. Not satisfied with that answer?
No.
Eat a Snickers. No, I'm sorry.
If I had one, I would.
So I think that is going to wrap it up. Unless anyone has other closing thoughts aside from Madam Web is terrible, but if you go into it expecting unintentional comedy, then you might be entertained.
Yeah, just go into it like low expectations, and you'll be just fine.
There you go. What do you expect from Sony? To hang on to this license for dear life.
So let me ask this question.
Yes.
If you're flipping through, let's say you have channels still, right? And you come across Madam Web, do you stop and keep watching it, or do you keep flipping channels?
I will watch it because I
feel like it fits our category of like really shitty, but still totally watchable. And if I came across it while buzzing through like what's on right now, I'd probably just stop and keep watching it.
To me, I'll use this analogy. It's like watching someone pushing a door that's marked pull and just watching him struggle with it.
Yeah.
Like throughout this movie, I'm like, these guys are trying to make a movie and they suck at it. And
yeah, they're trying real hard.
It was funny. Like, I don't know. I thought it was funny that way. What else can you watch besides this? Ooh, okay. Final question for everyone. Is this the worst superhero movie you've seen in the last 20 years? Paul?
No, Morbius was worse.
Ooh.
Blue Beetle was worse. The second Aquaman was worse.
Oh. I will agree with the Blue Beetle and the other one, Morbius, because both of those I just stopped watching.
I'm trying to.
Like, I had no desire to go finish it.
I would kind of say that the Harley Quinn live action movie was worse, but mostly because I like that. But
yeah.
I mean, to me, that movie's a lot more interesting and a lot more watchable and better made and better written. But it's almost worse because I love that character, and I think Margot Robbie's really good at that character,
right? But
you know what I mean? Like, so it's like the expectations, what it should have been, makes it almost worse.
That movie totally killed Cassandra Cain, a character that I love in the comics as Batgirl. And
would you rather watch this or the Green Lantern?
There you go. Never mind.
Green Lantern, because at least you have Ryan Reynolds, and I think we talked about this last time, that you have there are people in the cast who are entertaining.
Yep. Yeah.
So Paul would rather look at Ryan Reynolds than Sydney Sweeney.
100%.
I would not. I'd rather look at Sydney Sweeney. Green Lantern for me is much worse. Morbius is kind of borderline because on one hand, objectively, it is worse than this, but on the second hand, I have a soft spot for my so-called life, so I'm happy that
I think we have to have a Morbius / Green Lantern marathon for like one of the next. Just call it the Pain Train episode.
That could we can use that in Guantanamo. Just keep it on loop.
You can watch 1 or 2 movies.
Yes. On the left hand is Green Lantern. On the right, Morbius. Pick.
It is a green pill and a kind of a red pill.
Hey, that's exactly right. I like it. That will work. So, guys, we have a lot of cool stuff coming up this summer. I kind of want to do a summer preview episode. We have a lot of stuff in June starting. Star Wars The Acolyte, The Boys season 5? 5? I think let's say 5.
4?
I want to say 5. It could be 4.
I think it's 4, and the other one, what's the other series? Was the other The Boys ripoff sides?
Gen V.
Gen
right.
V. I think that was kind of like everybody perceives it as 4, and then this one's 5. But I think it's like this is season. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, Carlos, there you go. 4.
And then we have another thing. House of the Dragon season 2.
Right.
Super excited for all of it.
And then there was also something about the new next season of Lord of the Rings too.
That I think that's later in the summer.
Yeah, that's making headline news lately.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah,
that's July. Definitely
that's
doing
July.
that. So we have a lot of exciting stuff to look forward to. But I think we'll let's do a summer preview and talk about all the nerdy stuff we want to watch.
Ray, I think you should come out and that you and me and Paul should all go see Deadpool like live at a theater.
Or Paul, get us into a screening, man.
I don't have that power anymore.
Damn it.
Well, if the power happens to randomly just show up just for Deadpool and Wolverine, let us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Severance season 2. Was that date confirmed yet, Zach Morris?
I just started watching Severance season 1.
I think it's fantastic.
Kind of hooked, but like I'm only like a 1 episode or 2 episodes in so far.
That was actually the same way. That was my experience too. It took me a while to get over that hump, but once I did,
okay. Just keep going then.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic and one of the most unique and original series I've watched in a while. I was really impressed. Paul, you were telling me to wait.
Oh, I got confused. I thought Severance was the show about the HBO show about the father in the publishing industry, and he's making his kids fight over the legacy and
Succession.
Oh, that was Succession.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yes, different, both S words.
Yeah.
So I could see the confusion. But guys, if you watched Madam Web, I don't think sorry, but if you did, please share your thoughts with us in the comments. Don't forget, I will be posting the winners of those Steam codes next week. And I'll see you next time on RPadTV. Thanks for watching. Be good.
See y'all.